Hello and welcome to SMarTAR-ID. I'm going to try and give you a really quick introduction to this tool. SMarTAR-ID is a collection of images of deep sea animals that have been put together by a bunch of people who are basically trying to make those who annotate imagery's lives slightly easier. Let's start with the taxonomic guides. So here we have a collection of websites that have image identification guides, but we also have links to keys that we've developed to help you identify animals from image data. So these are different to traditional taxonomic keys in that they only use features you can see in images to help you objectively arrive at an identification of your animal. We only have 2 groups so far, but we really hope to be adding some more soon. This page tells you who has been involved so far and where the images have come from. And we would really like to add more names to this. So we'd like to invite you all to contribute to this project. How can you contribute? Well, this will tell you how you can contribute. But essentially, we really hope that you will submit your image reference libraries to this effort and help grow our community. But let's get into the database. So this is our image collection, examples of deep sea animals and their identifications. And you can search through this or filter through this image reference library by taxonomy, by morphology, or combinations of the two, and by region, although at the moment we've only got the North Atlantic in here. In this morphology section, we have tried to standardize to the Katami classification of morphology, but we have adapted it to be broader and it's slightly different in places for SMarTAR-ID. Okay, so let's say I want to annotate some images. I annotate my images in Beagle, but there are other image annotation softwares available like Tata and Squiddle, and they're all brilliant. But let me just give you an example in Beagle. So here's an image I want to annotate. I can see there are some sea pens in this image, quite a few. I'm not entirely sure which sea pen, so let's go and have a look in SMarTAR-ID. Okay, so I know it's a sea pen, so I can go to the Cnidarians, I can go to the Anthozoans, Octocoralia, and down to the sea pens. So here are all the sea pens in the database, and I can now have a look and try to identify my taxa. Well, I happen to know it's this one, so I'm going to click on this one. All right, so here you can see an image of Cophobelemnon, but actually here are other example images that other workers have submitted to the library. So this just gives you an impression of the range of ways in which this animal presents, both in really bad images and in very high quality images. If you scroll down, you can see some information about this taxa. The first thing you can see is the SMID number, the SMarTAR-ID number. This is really important because this number will always stay attached to this image. It might be for some taxa in this database, we subsequently get a better understanding of their identification or change our minds, and we may change the name. This number will not change, so it's really important that you use this number. We can also show what this thing is called in the Katami classification. It's called a quill. There may be other information here that's useful to you. An important piece of information is the verification status. You can see here that this animal has been identified from image and specific specimen. So this animal in this image has been sampled and identified by a taxonomist. So we know the animal in this image is exactly what it is. Is there a physical sample? Yes. You'll also see the worm's APHIA ID number. And if you want to view this on worms, you can just click here. And this will take you through to the worms page for this taxa and all the really incredible, useful information on worms. Okay, then you've got information on the taxonomy of this animal and information on the morphology, how we classify it morphologically. And as I mentioned, this standardizes for the most part to Katami, but it does differ and has a broader scope for some taxa. If you want, you can download all these images together as a PDF. Okay, but let's say I'm not quite sure still, I want a little bit more detail. I can click on this image and that'll take me through to this image. And this magnifying glass will appear so that I can have a real close look at this animal and check that it really is what's in the image that I'm looking at. Okay, if I scroll down, I get more information about this specific image. This is the name of the image. This is who owns it, the credit for the image, who identified the animal in this image, and then we can look at information about where this image came from. Well, it came from Whittard Canyon. Here's the Marine Regions ID, and this is the depth it was recorded at. And you can see here a map that shows roughly the region where this animal was taken from. But if you want a more detailed map, you can click here, View Marine Region. And this will take you to the Marine Regions database, which will show you where it came from. Aha, Whittard Canyon, lovely. Okay. I can just check other images if I want to, same facility, different information. You can see this image came from slightly shallower and from up off Norway. Okay, so maybe I'm happy it's that animal. I want to annotate it now. In Beagle, we have put together the SMarTaR-ID hybrid tree. The hybrid tree is a combination of taxonomy and morphology and is designed for annotation. So it's set up so that it's easy to use and overcome some of the common problems you have when identifying things in images and the level to which you can take things. But I want to annotate this sea pen, so I can go down to Cnidaria, Anthozoa, Octocoralia, Pennatulacea in the Cophobelemnon, and I can check this animal was 871, 871, and I can go ahead and annotate this animal. Doop, doop. Brilliant. And that's how this tool is designed to be used. I want to just show you one other feature. So let me go back. So we searched for this because we knew it was a sea pen, but let's say we didn't know it was a sea pen. Maybe we just knew it was a coral. So we can go in the Cnidaria. We can go in the coral section. Well, it's a black or octocoral, I know that. It's unbranched. This will now show me all the examples of unbranched corals, some of which are sea pens, some of which are other unbranched coral taxa. But the point of this is this morphological filter allows you to search on the basis of morphology. And for some taxa, that's really important, particularly the sponges. So let's just take a look. The sponges are organized into their different morphotypes. And again, we've tried to standardize to Katami as far as possible. But this is much more useful when working with identifying sponges from image data. And that's what makes the SMarTaR-ID catalog slightly different to your average taxonomic image guide. Okay, I want to show you one last thing, and that's the ex situ images. So all of these images that you can see are of animals in situ, and this is an in situ image guide. But where we have ex situ images of samples that have been taken, you can see the ROV arm here, taking the sample, then we also try to include ex situ images, because this may be useful for people when they're trying to identify their own ex situ animals. So again, you can see here, Euplectellidae, we've got ex situ images as well, and then all of that taxonomic information down here. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to show you. So please use the guide, please contribute if you can, and thanks a lot.